to ensure that wash systems are built and are strong enough. Challenge number 5, we're looking at deforestation and also degradation of the catchments, which is also affecting supply systems. Here, I've just summarized a number of challenges that is affecting the water supply, wash, and water resources management in Malawi, which we may appreciate. I may not really go through every point, but talked about also the technical know-how. So, as a country, 3 minutes. All right. Okay, so these are the challenges, which I think I may go back to them later. And so, apart from the challenges, or in trying to address the key challenges that the country is facing, we are also having or implementing, rather the Ministry of Water and Sanitation is also trying its best to make sure that they implement initiatives in trying to bring on board sustainable water and sanitation services in the country. So one of it is that of improved partnership and also improving the legal instruments, as well as establishment and institutionalization of the ministry, as well as the NWA, that's the National Water Resources Authority, which is mandated to manage the water resources in the country. And again, also the country is bringing on board measures, for example, establishment of WASH standards that's in schools as well as in the health care facilities. And so here I'm just showing also part of the efforts that the ministry is doing. That's partnership for green economy, resilience to climate change in Malawi. So you're looking at the projects that are being implemented in the country. So these projects are being done across, as you can see. So we've got the Lilongwe Water and Sanitation Project, the Malawi Water and Sanitation Project, and then also Ceremonie Lilongwe Water Supply Project, as well as in the north, we're looking at the Nkatabe Water and Sanitation Project. So all of those, they are trying to bring on board the green economy, trying to make sure that they also bring in the resilience to climate change. So that's the Lilongwe Water project that I talked about. So the bottom line is that the projects that are being implemented, you can actually see that they require huge investments as well as funding. And therefore, through this conference, we need to begin to discuss and talk about the funding mechanism to say, such kind of huge investments, such kind of huge costs, what can we do to make sure that we diversify the funding mechanism and such that we can come up with projects that are sustainable and climate resilient. As also a country, one of the efforts as well is coming up with the water resilience tracker, which is trying also to collect real-time data, that is water levels, basin condition, as well as the rainfall pattern. And so through this, the government is trying also to promote. So Malawi developed a number of legal instruments, which I talked about. And so through such kind of legal instruments, as well as frameworks, you realize that the government is trying its best to make sure that there's a good enabling environment for the practitioners, for the NGOs, for the private sector, that they can implement a number of initiatives. So we may not complain much in terms of the legal frameworks, so we tend to have all of them, as you can actually see here. All right. Again, another effort is that the ministry has brought in a policy shift, whereby now we're moving from the hand pump system of the boreholes, for example, to the solar-powered electric-rated system, in ensuring that now we bring on board the climate resilience system and systems that are strong enough that they can withstand the impacts that may be brought by climate change. Again, here I'm showing an example of implementation of climate resilient and flood wash system and infrastructure. So this, to your left, is a normal borehole which was damaged by floods, and then so one of the institutions, this case Baseflow, tried to come up with a flood-proof hand pump, as you can see, a system that can now withstand the impacts of climate change. Similarly, again, looking at the climate resilient and improved water supply systems, so you can actually see also that a number of institutions are trying to implement improved hand washing facilities that can as well withstand the climate change impacts. So this is a system that was funded by UNICEF, implemented in one of the schools. All right, so I can skip these ones. Yeah, so in summary, providing the major opportunities in the WASH sector. So as I said, we have the standalone ministry and also the existence of WASH donors and NGOs. So that also provides an opportunity that the sector can actually grow. And as I also highlighted, as a country, we tend to have abundant surface water resources as well as the groundwater. And also, there is an opportunity that a number of policies are being reviewed and improved. And at the very same time, as I pointed out, the establishment of National Water Resources Authority is very key and also a major opportunity in the WASH sector. So as I conclude, I just wanted to highlight some few recommendations. Future of the WASH sector in Africa, and particularly, of course, I'll talk about Malawi. So part of the recommendation, I'm saying that there's need to review and explore financing instruments that are available to make sure that the projects that are being implemented within the WASH sector should be climate resilient. As I said, for us to come up with projects that may be climate resilient, definitely they may require huge investments. And therefore, so where do we get the funding? Where do we get the money to construct such kind of systems? And therefore, we are saying that through this conference, we should be able to discuss the financing instruments and mechanisms. Again, within the WASH sector, there's need for coordination mechanisms. So we're looking at all levels, that's at national, council, and also community levels. And again, this coordination should also be looked at across the ministry and other government entities. On sanitation facilities, there is also a need that we should be able to think of subsidizing construction materials, that's especially for the rural areas. And so for a number of entities that construct these WASH facilities, we should be able to think of ways on how we can subsidize or we can provide the materials that are affordable. There's also a need that we should be able to review the operation and maintenance guidelines, especially when we're looking at the water supply systems that are constructed in the rural areas. As I pointed out, that government is moving from the single water supply unit now to a solar-powered electric systems. And so you see that these systems, they require capacity know-how, or they require the technical knowledge. And therefore, we are saying that there's need that we should be able to reflect how best can these systems be maintained. So you can imagine having a solar-powered electric system in the rural area, and then it's being operated by the community members. So how can they manage to maintain such kind of system? So I'm concluding, just 1 minute. Again, issues to do with coordination, so there's need to enforce that, and also there's need to improve on data management system. So the management information system, as far as WASH is concerned, so there's need. We are glad to learn that the ministry is trying to build up systems that will be able to collect data and information on water and in general WASH. All right, so thank you so much for your attention. I just acknowledge all the institutions that have been listed here. And once again, thank you so much for your attention and also for listening. Thank you so much.
Let's put our hands together. Thank you so much, Dr. Chidia. So, Wanda PS, Secretary for Water and Sanitation, while you were attending to equally important activities outside, we had started. So how we are going to go now is that we invite 4 panelists that will deliberate on the keynote address that has been made. So what it means is that Dr. Chidia will not go and sit. You will sit on the center part of those 5 chairs. And then I'll invite the 4 panelists to the front. So what we'll do is each one of them will be given an opportunity to speak or to make a presentation. At the end of each all, they will be able to ask some questions or make some comments from what they will present, because all this is based on the keynote address that has been given by Dr. Chidia. Our first panelist to come in front is no other than Dr. Chikumbusho Kawonga. Please, you may come in front. Mr. Kawonga is an associate professor of environmental science at the Malawi University of Business Studies and Applied Studies. He is formerly University of Malawi, the Polytechnic. He has over 20 years experience of teaching and research in water, soil and air related issues. Dr. Kawonga has also been involved in consultancies and outreach programs linked to water, soil and air quality and management. He is a keen believer of the SDGs and thinks that by 2030, everyone should have access to proper sanitation in Malawi. That is his belief. Can we put our hands together for him, please? The next presenter is Mr. Wires Chanozia Mwandira. Mr. Wires Mwandira is the Executive Director of Water and Environmental Sanitation in Malawi here. He holds a Master's in Climate Change, Agriculture and Food Security from the National University of Ireland in UK. He holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Malawi, has a certificate in water for development from Hebrew University of Jerusalem in Israel. Please, can we put our hands together for him as he sits down? The next panelist is Mr. Osborne Shearer. Mr. Osborne Shearer is a renowned national and international hydrologist, a water resource engineer. He holds a Master of Science in Civil Engineering, specializing in hydrology and water resources management from Colorado State University in the United States of America. And he has a Bachelor of Science in Earth Sciences and Physics from the University of Malawi. As he comes up, he has over 40 years of wide professional experiences in hydrology and water resource engineering, including hydrological investigations, design specifications. He is Mr. Osborne Shearer. Thank you so much. We can put our hands together for him. The last one is Mr. Benon Yassini. Mr. Benon Yassini holds a Master of Science degree in plant protection, pathology, and a Bachelor of Science degree in agriculture, both obtained from the University of Malawi. He is currently serving as a Deputy Director of Environmental Affairs in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Climate Change, where he is currently. Can we put our hands together, Benin Yassin? So each one of them will be speaking on a specific topic. The first one to speak or present, in case you have got a presentation, is Dr. Chikumbusho Kawonga. He will speak on Malawian water resource management and resilience plan, based on what the keynote address speaker has spoken, and looking also at the theme for this year's conference, which is green economy on water resources. Can we put our hands together as Mr. Chikumbusho stands up to speak to us? So what will happen is, after he speaks, I'll call the next one to speak until all the four have finished. So if you've got questions and comments, please put them aside somewhere. We have a small portion at the end of the day where we'll be able to ask them questions and make contributions or additions to what they've spoken. So Mr. Chikumbusho, it's your turn to speak at this point in time. The mic is right there. Is that the mic? Yeah, please. You have 10 minutes to speak on this. When it's 5 minutes, I'll come and show you, and then after that, I'll come and say it is 0 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Yeah, it seems people are very tired. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here. And I enjoyed the morning presentations. That is the speeches that we had. And also the one that Dr. Chidya has presented. I just want to highlight a few things from his presentation, and then I'll make comments on the things that he has said. He highlighted that in Malawi, we are blessed with abundant water resources. So when you check through, you notice that 97% of the available water on earth is salty water. Only 3% is available as fresh water. But in Malawi, we have a lot of fresh water, so we are very lucky. But he also highlighted some challenges that we do experience, not only as a country, but in sub-Saharan Africa in general. So some of the challenges that he did highlight were things like climate change and natural disasters. But he provided a solution. He indicated that when we have these challenges, we need water supply systems that are climate resilient. But also there was an issue of weak coordination and enforcement of policies and regulations, of which he indicated that these policies sometimes, indirectly, he said, they basically sometimes don't talk to each other. Key amongst all the challenges that we have in this country is the financial element. So in terms of water resources management in this country, if you check through most of the documentation, you will notice that we follow what is known as integrated water resources management. So that's the key managing guidance of water resources in Malawi. Now, this principle of IWRM, when you look at it closely, you notice that it considers fresh water as a finite and vulnerable resource. I have already indicated that fresh water on earth is only 3%, okay? And that water development management should be based on a participatory approach. So in other words, if we want to manage water as a resource, we should involve all sectors of the economy. People from the villages, people who have technical know-how, and several other sectors of the economy. Above all that, we need to put women as a central part of the management of water resources. If you listened carefully to the minister's presentation, she highlighted the challenges that women face as regards to wash services. And the last element in IWRM, I have 4 minutes. Okay. The last element in IWRM is water has an economic value in all its competing uses. So we should take it as an economic good. So let me go back to the presentation because I don't have much time. So in the presentation that Dr. Chidya presented, he indicated that we are guided by Malawi 2063, and then right now the 10-year implementation plan, and also we have key instruments or policies that are guiding us, and some of these were approved this year in 2025. So the strategic priorities and key initiatives that as a country we are doing is that the first one is the issue of climate resilient infrastructure. So we need to construct, for example, dams that can even withstand cyclones. And also there's an issue of governance and institutional coordination. So there's a cross-sector task force that is involved, and then also there are linkages amongst several different departments. But also we have an ecosystem-based adaptation. So for example, some river systems, like for example the Bua River, has a watershed restoration plan. So if that system is working, then it can be channeled to other areas as well. Not as a copy or cut and paste, but something that can be adapted, and then we can try to modify it to suit specific catchment management areas. Then the last component was financing and investment mobilization. So there are funders that are coming in to fund some of these water-related projects and all that. Lastly, because of time, one thing that I came across was the fact that in Malawi, in terms of management of resources, we have 17 major catchment areas. And then these 17 major catchment areas have been subdivided into 78 sub-catchment areas or water resources units. Now, if we look closely at these sub-catchment areas and then the catchment areas, we will notice that almost each and every place in this country is a catchment area. So we need to take care of each and every place because they are all catchment areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's put our hands together for him. The next question that we would want our panelist number 2 to ask, to answer is will be done by William Mandira. The question we have is climate change impacts and the resilience measures for sustainable water resources delivered in Malawi. Mr. Mandira, how do you look at this? Climate change impacts and resilience measures for sustainable water resources delivered in Malawi.
Thank you very much.
Can you give us a highlight on that one and answer this question so that people can understand where we stand as a country?
Thank you very much.
And you have 5 minutes because
moderator.
the 10 minutes was too much.
Yeah, as you've heard from the previous presenter, Malawi is blessed very much with fresh water. It has got adequate water resources, which is fresh. We have a lake that runs almost across the entire country from the north to the south. So one of the projects that is being carried out in the country is to tap water from this fresh lake. That's a big project that is supported by World Bank. We'd like to thank World Bank for that project because the water that is coming out from that project, it will be water for production, so it will support both water for consumption as well as other uses. So we feel that through use of water from a sustainable source like Lake Malawi is one of the ways we can deal with the issues of climate change, because in Malawi some of the rivers that used to be perennial are now drying up every year. So a sustainable source like Lake Malawi is an answer. The other issue is about the cyclones. For the past 5 years, we've had different types of disasters and cyclones in the country. And as such, the only way to deal with these impacts of climate change is to have resilient infrastructure. And we've seen on the presentation by Dr. Chidia, he showed a number of infrastructure that is climate resilient. So we are promoting construction of infrastructure that would withstand the impacts of climate change. The other aspect is on water use efficiency. We have 5 utility companies in the country, and each one of them is striving to ensure that there's reduction in non-revenue water. So to do that, it's also to do with the type of infrastructure that is put in place in all these 5 water utility companies. And because of the issues of climate variability, you heard my colleague who presented earlier on that there are some multipurpose dams. The reason we are putting up multipurpose dams across the rivers and across the country is that we would like to conserve the available water based on the flow rates during the rainy season. And the other aspect now is on the catchment conservation, also across the country, as you heard from my colleague who mentioned that there are 17 catchment areas across the country, and all those catchment areas are very important for our rivers as well as the lake. So, in brief, we would like to really thank our partners as a country, the World Bank, as well as the African Development Bank, for these strategic partnerships that are enabling us to build up resilient infrastructure across the country, and also locally the policy frameworks that are there within the ministry, as well as the legal frameworks that are there within the Ministry of Water and Sanitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mandira, for giving us that know-how in terms of climate change impacts and the resilience measures for sustainable water resources delivery in Malawi. Can you put our hands for Mr. Mandira, please? Just a further clarification on what Mr. Mandira says. The World Bank funded the Lilongwe Water and Sanitation Project and Lilongwe Water Board, and the project that is drawing water from Salima is already funded by the government of Malawi. Just to put that one in perspective, that's what it means. At this point in time, let me invite Mr. Osborne Shearer. We know we have droughts and floods that have taken place in the country, and we need to manage those. And what are those impacts that these floods and droughts have on our water and sanitation infrastructure in the country? We want to hear from you, Mr. Osborne Shearer, on this topic. Thank you so much. You have 5 minutes, possibly through the PS and the senior delegates from AFA. We can just stand for a second just to stretch up in case we are sleeping. Because the energies levels have gone down. If we stretch up, possibly the energies will be rejuvenated. Just for 1 second, so that we don't sleep. Just sorry for that. Just to make sure that the tea we took is moving all over the body. Otherwise, it's concentrated in the stomach. Just can stretch just for a second, and then shake your head, and then we can sit down. We are honorable members. Yeah, I think it is good that we stood up. So, Mr. Osborne Shearer, would want to hear from you. The delegates are ready to listen from you. What are these impacts, and how do we manage these droughts and floods in Malawi? Thank you so much. You have 5 minutes from as I'm putting my mic down.
Thank you. Is it 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
No, I think
we're supposed to be treated equally in Malawi. Eh?
Yeah, but
okay.
We change sometimes.
I will rush.
Yes.
I thought maybe we should understand what is green economy and what is green climate resistance. And my understanding, green economy is an economic system where a society organizes and uses socially and environmentally sustainable production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. The green climate resistance refers to the ability of communities, ecosystems, and economies to withstand and adapt to the impacts of climate change while simultaneously pursuing low carbon development pathways. And maybe we should also understand what is drought and flood management. My understanding is that it's the practice of development, operation, and maintenance of a range of strategies and measures, including infrastructure and services, aimed at mitigating the risks of floods and droughts, which essentially are generated from climate change and resilience. And by the way, I had some presentation, so I'm just going through this presentation that I had. So, what are the impacts and could be adaptation to droughts and floods in Malawi cities? That's where we are targeting. Yeah. Obviously, in Malawi, both floods and droughts have had devastating impacts on the water supply and sanitation infrastructures and services. Both of these have measures and further opportunities for mitigation and adaptation in water supply and sanitation, which include infrastructure, management services, as well as administrative mitigation and adoption measures. If we look at the Malawian context, we have 4 cities: Blantyre, Lilongwe, and Muzuzu and Zomba. And all of these have had water supply infrastructure failures due to droughts as well as floods. An example, Zomba in 1992, we had a severe drought in Malawi, and the dam that we had on Zomba Plateau completely dried out, and there was disaster because we used to ferry water from Lilongwe, for that matter, to supply water in Zomba. But we had an opportunity, we could build a dam there. So the current dam that is in Zomba resulted from the lessons we learned about the drought in 1992. And the same thing I can cite for Lilongwe and Muzuzu. But the question is, are we out of danger? I think the answer is no, because most of these dams have been built based on a planning period. And some of these dams have already exceeded the planning period. We are only fortunate that we have had no serious hydrological drought since 1992. If we can have a repeat of that hydrological drought now, we'll find most of our cities will have problems of water supply and sanitation. My interpretation is that the population has grown, even our affluence has grown, which means even the water consumption whether domestic, industrial, and so forth, has increased. So we will learn from you guys how we can succeed. I also think that we are depending too much on surface water, which is quite sensitive to droughts. And where we say that we have abundant water resources in Malawi, the thinking is only on surface water, because we have only developed groundwater for domestic water supply in rural areas, where the depths are around 45, 50. Deeper boreholes are not there, but we have opportunities that we can have deeper boreholes, which would be strategic infrastructures for backing up water supply, especially during droughts. Maybe I can stop there. I was only given 5 minutes. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Osborne, please. The last panelist is Mr. Benon Yassin, who is the Deputy Director of Environmental Affairs. He will look at partnership for green economy and the resilience to climate change in Malawi. Where do we stand? And where are we going? Where are we coming from? Should we trust this? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Please, you have 5 minutes for the same.
Moderator, I'm happy that most of the issues have been raised that I wanted to give as examples. I will take you back to 1998 when we had our National Environment Action Plan, and at that time, there's one more. If you can switch off the... Yeah, at that time, issues of water degradation were raised as one of the key issues. Moving from 1998, we did a National State of Environment and Outlook report in 2010. Issues of water still came, and the issues of vandalism in water infrastructure, depletion of water resources, and loss of quality of water continued. And in 2022, the World Bank also did an assessment, of course in collaboration with the government of Malawi. It was established in that study, a climate and development report, that the country is losing 1.1% of our GDP related to water access issues. So the question should be, what is happening? We haven't actually moved in a positive way. We're still degrading. One reason, as a Minister of Natural Resources and Climate Change, which is composed of Environmental Affairs, Department of Meteorological Services and Climate Change, Fisheries and Forestry, is that most of us are working in silos. And the studies that have been conducted have demonstrated that we can do better if we promote partnerships. I want to bring you to the picture you see, the banner in front of you, behind me here. This is a very beautiful infrastructure. I'm told the top part of it is a rubber dam, which can be expanded to hold more water. It has just been raised down because it was causing flooding in some bridges. So this is a demonstration of partnerships that can work. We informed this project was supported by the World Bank and other partners, and I want to give specific examples that have actually worked in terms of partnerships. If you look at that picture, there is already an opportunity. On top of that picture, you see that has a forest type. That is the Zalanyama Forest Reserve. That actually brings in that water to the dam. And on the left, your left there and my right, you see that bare land with a few trees there. That's already an indication that we need to protect this dam. How can we do it? There are several models that we can do. one that has already been piloted in our country and many countries, even those in this meeting, is the issue of payment for ecosystem services. This is where utility companies, the Minister of Water and other players can go into agreements with communities to incentivize natural resources management, including afforestation programs and catchment conservation programs. This is known to have actually promoted sustainability in terms of financing. We've heard mentioned within this meeting the Green Climate Fund, which I think most of us in our countries, we can attest that it's not easy to access this funding because either we don't understand the investment criteria or we need to actually abide to the paradigm shift that this financing requires. The second one that we can look at, we know there have been examples of infrastructure that has been lost, particularly they are driven by hydropower that is running on the grid. One of the partnerships that we can venture is the issue to do with the harnessing solar power using our solar pumps actually to get water in hard-to-reach places. This will require strong partnerships where I think we will be getting resources from various stakeholders, including also issues to do with capacity building. One aspect that we've noted as a ministry is that yes, we have these technologies, but we don't go beyond building capacity, both of the institution as well as the skills of the staff that are working on those, including making communities aware of their responsibilities, because we know one of the issues we have is vandalism, and we need to make sure that everyone is not left behind. We need to move together. Another issue that has been raised here, I think the issue of data and information. In the ministry, we have a Department of Meteorological Services and Climate Change. They have mostly released the national weather forecasting area warnings. But we are saying, through pilots that we've seen, we need to have climate change centers, or we need to do citizen science where we need to produce localized climate services and information where communities should be in the forefront. In so doing, we see that we'll be able to anticipate when a disaster is coming. I think recently those that were in the country noted that we had Cyclone Freddy and other cyclones. They went through Mozambique, Zimbabwe, back to Malawi, but we saw the damage here was huge, unlike the other neighboring countries. That's our own assessment, but I thought maybe our preparedness was only focusing at the response, but I think we needed to do more. Currently, as a country, like many countries in here, we are developing a national adaptation plan, and this will require serious collaboration if we are to achieve the aspirations of our sector, water and sanitation. We need to implement this plan in coordinated manner and reflecting also the aspirations in the Malawi 2063. Finally, I also want to give an example of another opportunity that we might have in terms of partnerships. This is where you could harness technologies. I think we have a lot of artisans in our country, which I think if we need to enhance their capacity, we should be able to actually use them in terms of addressing imports of parts that we fit into our boreholes and others. So we need to actually look at those small and medium enterprises that can be harnessed to make sure that the services, in the face of our challenges in Forex, we can actually use the local resources that we have. Finally, how many minutes? Finally, I wish to indicate that this should not be a choice, but I think we need to live with the paradigm shift that we should have lasting benefits if we are going to have partnerships in our country. Like many citizens in our countries who depend on our understanding of these partnerships. We need to encourage the private sector. Mostly they are always fearing getting into business where climate change issues are involved. So we need to raise awareness and engagement. Thank you. Let me stop there.
Thank you so much. Can we put our hands together for Mr. Yasin, Deputy Director of Environmental Affairs Department, Minister of Natural Resources and Climate Change. Ladies and gentlemen, our delegates and everybody here, we have come to the end of our panelists. Each one of them has given what it is as we are in Malawi today. So I'm giving an opportunity to the delegates that you are here today to ask questions or to make comments. Preference will be given to our colleagues who are coming outside the country. We expect you to be the first ones. So as you ask a question or a comment, you delegate to one of the panelists. So this question is going to this panelist or this comment is going to this panelist. We have a number of countries, South Africa, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Chad, Cameroon, Uganda, Senegal, and so forth. So the first comment and question comes from Cote d'Ivoire. Roque Ami Sodek. You have the floor, please.
Sorry, the interpreter can't hear. We can't hear. It seems his microphone is off. My question is to all the panelists. Thank you for your interventions. I observe that there is the will to go to solar energy, but also coming up with infrastructures, but also construction of resilient infrastructures. I want to understand how all this contributes to the circular economy. But also, I also heard that there are challenges to do with data collection. When you will fight against floods and all those kind of things, I would like to know if artificial intelligence can help us.
Facturé était capital. Est-ce que vous luttez contre la fraude dans vos différentes sociétés d'eau? Merci. C'était Luc Ouémé de la SODECI Côte d'Ivoire.
Thank you so much. Part of the questions I did not understand because I think I was not on the translator earphones, but I hope the panelists you have understood. Yes. Right, so take another question. Take 3 questions or comments before we get the answers. Can we have the second contributor or a question or contribution towards what has been spoken here by the 5 panelists, including the keynote address speaker? From where? Sanago, please.
Thank you for the presentation, and thank you also for the panelist speech. My perception is all of you talk about water supply or water resources. I want to know about how you are managed about sanitation. If we know that 80% of water consumption for the population become waste, how you manage it, and if you have a master plan regarding sanitation. That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's have the last one before we get the answers. I think these are clear. Yes, you may mention your name and name the country you are coming from. I've given you the floor. Your name?
Je me présente, je suis Hakimi de l'Office national d'électricité de l'eau potable des Royaumes du Maroc. Tout d'abord, je tiens à remercier les panélistes de la clarté et de leur présentation qui étaient très exhaustifs et qui ont touché presque tous les aspects liés au changement climatique, causes, effets, plans d'action et même des recommandations. J'ai quelques questions quand même, parce que j'ai entendu mon collègue Chidia, il parle d'un plan national de gestion des ressources en eau au plan stratégique. Je pense que c'est une bonne démarche. La question qui se pose, c'est que ce plan, des fois, il nécessite l'intervention de plusieurs parties prenantes pour pouvoir le réussir.
Plans require a lot of participants to implement. Now, what are you going to do to make sure that there is a very good coordination among different stakeholders? Second question, I believe that Malawi is not faced with water problems.
Les inondations, parce que les pluies tombent dans une période très courte, donc on reçoit beaucoup de pluie dans une période très courte, donc les infrastructures qui sont sur place, ils ont des difficultés à pouvoir absorber les venues d'eau qui sont très importantes, mais quand même, est-ce qu'il y a un plan d'action pour la lutte contre les pertes d'eau? Parce que même si les pluies sont abondantes, à un certain moment, donc, il y aurait des pénuries, donc l'effet des changements climatiques ne s'arrête pas. Est-ce qu'il y a un plan d'action pour la lutte contre les pertes d'eau ou les non-revenue water en termes d'eau potable et peut-être même en termes d'irrigation, c'est le secteur qui consomme beaucoup plus d'eau. Et merci.
I have to plan to hear so that I'm also part and parcel of the interpreters to hear in my ears. We have a number of questions. We would want to get some clarification and answers from the panelists up there. I missed some of those questions because I had no interpreter into my ears. But also some directors and possibly the PS, you can also comment on some of the issues possibly which have been raised by different delegates from different countries here. So we will start. If you want to start, you raise your hand and then we hear. Please, the director in the Department of Environmental Affairs.
Thank you very much, moderator. I think I will respond to a question from Côte d'Ivoire. I think there's still a mic which is on. If I understood the question very well, he raised two aspects of the question. That all of us here in the panel are mentioning about solar energy, and he wanted to understand whether we are considering aspects of circular economy. And two, mention of the challenges to do with data and whether we are using or considering AI. I think he has in mind, if I can read it, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and others that are becoming useful in terms of data. For the circular economy, efforts are there. one of the requirements in the circular economy is reuse of what has been used. And I know if we are using solar, I think you are talking of associated products like batteries. Just recently, in 2024 December, we launched the e-policy, which will actually look at the aspects of circulating what has been used. Because in there, you could also come up with other issues. For example, accumulation of lead in the batteries, and also other harmful substances. So this program will definitely require partnerships. We've piloted in some centers, particularly along the shore, where you could have exchange programs. You bring something, then you are given something, and then you reuse that product. But then we need the companies that will actually do recycling. That's where I think we can address the issue of products coming from that side. In terms of ChatGPT, or for example, maybe what we call this intelligence, I think we're trying as a country. We've been trained in some of it. The challenge we have is to access data. I'll give you an example of ChatGPT, where you have the basic version, the plus, and also the final version. If you want to get data across the web, you can be specific and tell it, I want data produced by the World Bank on Malawi. It will give you all the references and you download them and then start actually consider Malawi University of Science and Technology just to use remote sensing and GIS because we know that our capacity to use, so you could use Google search engines so that you are able to use information. And we know this also uses artificial intelligence in terms of actually generating data.
I think thank you so much. Let's have somebody also. We have Mr. Mandela. You're given 1 minute to respond to one of the questions.
Thank you very much. I'll just speak to the issue of coordination. In Malawi, when it comes to issues of disaster management, we have the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, which is housed in the Office of the President and Cabinet, which coordinates that aspect, which means all stakeholders that are involved in the issues of managing issues around disaster, they are coordinated from that office. And within the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, which is the sector ministry bringing us here, they've also created a coordination unit which also coordinates stakeholders within that sector. So from there, then they can connect with the Department of Disaster Management Affairs in the Office of President and Cabinet.
Thank you so much. Mr. Osborne, you can also respond to one. Put 1 minute for it.
Just quickly, but I think the Minister of Water and Sanitation may add, through consultancy, I know that the ministry is improving its data and information capability. They are intending to install modern hydrometric stations, primarily targeting collection of data for forecasting and early warning of floods, and the same data might be used for designing resilient infrastructures in the areas where disasters occur. Apart from what my colleague has said, my understanding is that all the developments now are attached to Malawi Vision 2063. So it's an umbrella sort of coordination center that all the developments that are taking place align with the Vision 2023, apart from the the ministerial coordination centers at the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, as well as at the Ministry of Water and Sanitation.
Thank you so much, Bana Osman. That is clear. Dr. Chidja, you have 1 minute to respond before we hand it over to Minister to make a comment on this, because there are issues to do with the sanitation policy and other things.
All right, thank you so much. I wanted to address the question that was talking about that Malawi tends to have a short period of time in terms of experiencing rainfall, and what is the country doing to address such a short period of time, and also the water loss. So I wanted to highlight that if you noted from the presentations, we hinted that Malawi government is promoting construction of multi-purpose dam. So the idea is that we want to capture, all that water during that period, and then therefore in dry season, such kind of multi-purpose dam can help in terms of water supply. Again, at community level, so Malawi government is also promoting management of catchment, watersheds and catchments. So through National Water Resources Authority, they are implementing and establishing the catchment management committees. So these committees are the ones that are responsible, to spearhead the management of these watersheds at that small scale, at community level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have now, can we hear from Dr. Kawonga before I hand it over to the Minister to speak about sanitation? Yeah. We have the PS and also the Director of Water Resources. Please proceed 1 minute, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer the question on, I think, sanitation, that we have been talking mostly about water resources. What about sanitation? So a quick answer is in Malawi, we have a sanitation master plan. And as part of increasing efficiency of wastewater treatment, for example, in cities, that has been given to water boards. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Time is not on our side. The energy levels are also going down. We need to have lunch. May I ask the PS if you want to speak something on a number of issues that have been spoken, which possibly are not very clear. You have also your directors which possibly can assist. Thank you so much, Bona PS. You can come in to conclude on this session.
Thank you very much. I think there was a direct question about the sanitation master plan. Indeed, as also responded by the panelists, in the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, we have the 2018 to 2024 sanitation and hygiene strategic plan. This is a guide for us in terms of strategies to implement sanitation and hygiene in the country. It's now going under review. The idea is to align it as a framework to support implementation of sanitation and hygiene in the country, to align it with the 2030 agenda for Malawi. Malawi are implementing the first 10-year implementation plan of the development agenda of Malawi 2063, and also make sure that we align ourselves to sustainable development goals. So in summary, yes, we have guiding strategies, but apart from that, we have the policies that informs the implementation and the investments in terms of sanitation and hygiene in the country. We have the National Sanitation Policy of 2008, which is also, as we speak, is going through under a review, so that we are updated in terms of how we move forward. Apart from that is on a specific definition of sanitation, for example, solid waste, sewage systems, and others. We have specifically strategies that it entails in terms of implementing sewage, for example, and also solid waste. And mostly, just to mention that Malawi, we have service providers for various sanitation services. For example, solid waste is being implemented and provided by the councils, the district councils and city councils. while the sewerage systems for now is being implemented by the water board. And for on-site sanitation, still various players, key players are implementing this, like councils, NGOs, and others. So, in short, we have a framework for us to implement various sanitation and hygiene activities in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Principal Secretary for Ministry of Water and Sanitation. Before we conclude, just one burning question. I saw a hand at the back before you blame me. That hand is, so I hope it has been sorted within the questions which have been asked and answered here. Right, colleagues, I hope everything is clear. Mastle, abundantly blessed with a lot of water resources. It has a lake which starts from the north and closes somewhere towards the end of the central region. And then it drains into one big river, which is River Shire, takes the water from the lake and drains into Zambezi. Zambezi drains into Indian Ocean. So across the country, Malawi, the eastern side is the land, the western side is water. So all the rivers drain there. So for us to be able to control the waters in Lake Malawi, we have the Kamuzu Barrage, which does regulate how much water should be released from Lake Malawi going downwards, and so forth. This is one of the answers which can be given to a colleague who asked you, what do we do with the waters which come in the rainy season? So we control through the Kamuzu Barrage. If you look at the map, possibly in one of these days when you come at another time, you'll be taken along to see these things. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful team for us of presenters with the keynote address speaker and all the presenters. Can we put our hands together for them as they come down, please? I know we have so many to ask, but we have these other planners who discuss and talk. Even when we go outside, we can also meet a few individuals and ask. You were with me. My name is Engineer Tony Nyasuru. I was your facilitator this time. I'm the Director of Water Resources Management and Development at the National Water Resources Authority, a regulatory body for the Malawi government, under the Ministry of Water and Sanitation. Please, you may take your seats. Just a few announcements, because our energy levels are gone. We need to go for lunch. What do you want? Oh, please, panelists, we need a group photo, please. Please, Osborne, Chair, please, let's come. I'll also be amongst them. They need a group photo. Thank you so much. Our Principal Secretary and all the executives of the AFWASA, we have come to an end of the first session. We need to go for lunch, but lunch has been categorized, I think, in two places. So the executive, which is composed of the executive of AFWASA, executive from the local, from Malawi. These are our principal secretaries, directors, and CEOs from different institutions. We'll be meeting, we're having our lunch at Presidential Hotel. So Presidential Hotel is when you go out, then to go to your left, there's a Presidential Hotel that side. That's where we're going to have our lunch. Our ushers will be on that side to direct us to where we need to have our lunch. This is for the executive. These are our first executives, and then our PS, the directors from the ministries, CEOs and directors from different institutions will go this side. The second one is of all the delegates will be in auditorium foyer. So as you go out where we had a photo shoot, we go inside there. There will be some ushers. They will direct us where we're going to have our lunch. While support staff will just be inside the auditorium. When you go inside the auditorium, you have the support staff, but the delegates will go a bit somewhere. Our ushers will be able to take us through that. Another reminder which I've been asked to give to the delegates is for those who are looking for Forex, please go on Standard Bank Pavilion, which is outside. You can get your Forex. Tonight, there is a Lilongwe site exploration. Those who want to go, please, you can register at the main entrance if you want to go around Lilongwe tonight, just to see how it looks at night from various places. And I've also been asked to remind you that on Wednesday there will be a Lilongwe site visit. I think there are some forms which are going around. There's a QR code that will be explained that you can be able to register and know where the sites where we shall be able to go on Wednesday. These are the few announcements which I would make. Lunch for the executives is at the Presidential Lodge Hotel. And for those of us, the delegates, it's at the auditorium foyer. Our ushers will take us to that place. This marks the end of our first session. Let's go and have our lunch. The lunch is exactly 1 hour. So our time is almost like 20 to 2. We expect to have our lunch. We expect to be back at 20 to 3. Thank you so much. Enjoy our lunch. Lunch is starting now. As we get out, we start lunch now. And this is 22. We'll come back at exactly 20 to 3. Let's interact as we go out. If you want more questions, you can ask many members from the Malawi delegations that can be able to guide you.
Ian, if we have Ian from Xylem, please meet me. Ian from Xylem, if you are here, Ian from Xylem, please, would like to meet. Ian from Xylem, please meet me before you go out for lunch. Yeah, they're not there. You are there?